College football, week 11, best bets. We're going through the biggest games on Saturday, giving you our favorite spread, money line, total. As always, it's Austin, joined by Logan. Logan, I'm amped up for this week. We got a bunch of good contests that we're about to talk about. And then we wrap up the video talking about some player props, and we'll talk about some other games that might not be the biggest games on the board, but are sneaky ones that we think there's some value out there. But Logan, I'll be honest, last week, what the heck are you doing, man? 2-4. Now, the people are saying, Austin, you should dress up as Shaggy again, as I delivered a 5-2 week. We'll take that. As always, we play our props on Underdog. Logan and I actually had two guys both get injured, which is really tough. But Underdog does void your guys if they get injured in the first half, so I encourage you to play them over there. But Logan, we got to dive into the picks. We got to deliver some winners this week. And you know what? Let's just dive into some of the biggest games. And we're going to start out in Oxford as the UGA Bulldogs go into Oxford to take on the Ole Miss Rebels. Georgia's only a 2.5-point favorite. A little bit weird here, the third-ranked overall team, but I understand why. Over/under at 55. What are you feeling in this game?
Yeah, so I'm kind of puzzled on a side. If I were to take a side in this one, I'd probably lean Georgia, but I feel a lot better about the total, and I like the under in this game. Really, it kind of boils down to how Georgia looked last week against my Gators. Oh, man, I had hope. I had promise. I sat there thinking, imagine the Gators pull this one off. Well, the injuries was not meant to be. It probably looks like a little bit different game, but we know Georgia's brand of offense this year is definitely not elite. I mean, I don't think I'm being controversial when I say Carson Beck's look bad. I mean, Georgia has gone under in 5 of 8, and the reason kind of why is because Carson Beck throwing the ball to the other team. I mean, and that's kind of Georgia wants to play this game on their terms. They do not want to play it on Ole Miss's terms. Ole Miss wants to turn it into a track meet to get into a shootout because that's how Ole Miss wins these games. They absolutely light it up, but playing a big-time opponent like Georgia, I think they're going to be a little bit more ball control. I think they're not going to necessarily take these deep shots or get these deep shots, and there's also injury concerns. Trey Harris is injured concern for Ole Miss. Trevor Etienne, who, again, he was my player prop last week. He left the game last week. There's a lot of injury concerns for both these offenses, and I think that's just kind of going to show in this one. Ole Miss still the number 1 ranked defense in terms of points scored and number 1 in rushing yards allowed. They are a surprisingly stingy defense themselves. I like the under between these two teams.
I like your pick, Logan. I do have a prop in this game, which I'll talk about at the end of the video. As always, if Logan and I sweep our props, we give away $50. Like and subscribe. Simple as that. I'm going to take Georgia on the money line. I've taken them before in road spots, and they've clutched up and secured my money. Now, is Georgia money line? Am I getting in my bag for that one? I'd argue probably not. That's probably the least research you can do. But at the end of the day, I think Kirby Smart is a better head coach than Lane Kiffin. I think that's sometimes what decides these games. So 3:30 p.m., not as worse as being like a late night start, but I do think Georgia pulls it off. I would take them -2.5. I'll lay the -135 on the money line. It's not going to be the sharpest play in the video. I don't care. Georgia's pulling out the win, and I don't know how they do it. Carson Beck might throw 3 interceptions again. That seems to be the recipe for success. He throws 3 picks, and then he dials it in. So either way, I don't know if I love that, but I think Georgia pulls off the win. We'll take them there. Next one, we have a hot Colorado team in Texas at Texas Tech here. Colorado only laying 4 points here. They've had coming off some good, a little bit of a win streak here. Over under at 62.5. This is pretty dang high total, Logan. And honestly, I don't think they can set it high enough. I'll be on the over in this game at 62.5. Colorado has played some not great opponents. They've still allowed a good amount of points here. And honestly, I think this comes down to Texas Tech's defense. That defense is terrible. So I really think Shedeur Sanders and that passing attack of Colorado will be able to go up and down the field, scoring points left and right. I don't have a lot of faith in the Texas Tech offense, but I don't know if they need to be great. They also are a pass-happy team. I think they'll be able to throw it on Colorado. Maybe they're playing a catch-up from behind. And Colorado really doesn't take their foot off the gas pedal because they really don't run the ball a ton. So it's going to be a lot of Shedeur Sanders throwing it up and down the field. 62.5. I'll take it. The last time Texas Tech was at home, they gave up 59 points to Baylor. Baylor is definitely not a great offense. I like what Colorado's been doing the last few weeks. I'll take the over. But Logan, what do you like here?
Yeah, so you were square, right? We call it square for Georgia. Time for me to be a little square here. I like Colorado, and I'll lay the points with the Buffaloes. It just really comes down to, if I'm going to put my money on this game, where do I want it? I want it on the hot team that's really kind of shaping into form. That's, I think, Colorado. And I do think your over is a good angle between both these defenses that kind of look suspect. I would just argue that Texas Tech's defense is the way more suspect unit. I mean, look at these numbers. I mean, it's 36 points per game. Wow, that's 123rd in the FBS. 308 passing yards per game. That's 134th in the FBS. There's not that many teams in the FBS behind them. Just looking at these numbers, so it's like they are a really, really bad unit. And I kind of think Colorado's defense can get a few stops there. Really, to cover this number, what we're going to need is Colorado's defense just rise up in the red zone a little bit. Just turn one of those red zone trips into field goals. We could be in a really good shape for this one. I do agree with you. I see the pace of this game being high, a lot of explosive plays, but Texas Tech they kind of got lucky against Iowa State last week. I watched that whole game. Thought Iowa State might pull out a magic. In the end, they didn't. It was a good win for Texas Tech. So they are coming off a really good win. I just think this is a little bit of a letdown spot for Texas Tech.
Hey, hopefully our picks go hand in hand. Maybe Colorado can drop a 50-piece. We'd love that.
Sure.
Next game we're moving on to Alabama heading to Baton Rouge to take on LSU. Highly anticipated game here. This is going to have some big playoff implications towards the end of the year. Obviously these two teams are kind of on the fringe of the playoffs right now. Both coming in here with some losses here and there. I don't know what to do with this game, Logan. I feel like LSU is obviously to get the 7:30 p.m. SEC night game, so their crowd's going to be insane. Alabama hasn't looked great, but coming off a pretty big victory a few weeks ago. What do you like in this game?
I like Bama with the points in this one. I just think this is a Bama spot. I questioned really who's more battle tested in this one. Alabama's been very battle tested. They've played a sort of a gauntlet of a schedule. A lot of good SEC teams in there. LSU, not so much. Ole Miss is really the best team they've played on their schedule. Texas A&M, teams like that I just think are weaker competition. Alabama and Jalen Milroe, he's not, you know what, I might be a little disrespectful. He's not an elite passer in my opinion. That's just my opinion. Call me crazy. But what we do know he's an elite runner. I think he's going to run all over this LSU defense. I do not think they're going to have a game plan to really stop him on the ground. Bama's defense has also been forcing some takeaways. Garrett Nussmeier, I don't think he's gonna have a big game through the air. I think that LSU's really their best shot is to hopefully get some ground yards. But we know Bama's defense can play physical up front. I just think Brian Kelly versus Kalen DeBoer. I like DeBoer a little bit in this one. I think he's going to have a good game plan for that LSU team. Give me Alabama. I'll lay the points.
Yeah, I'm going to join you. I'll just take the money line. Do you want the money line or you want to lay the -2.5?
Yeah, let's do money line. Sure.
Money line's probably a little bit safer here. You never know in college. College it's always weirdo scores. I agree with all the points you made. I think LSU is a little bit too pass dependent. Their rushing attack has been hit or miss this season. Both teams are coming off a bye week, so they both have had plenty of time to prepare here. I think I lean towards the experience of Alabama a little bit more. It's not my favorite pick that we've talked about so far through the video. I lean them though. I like Jalen Milroe. He's not obviously had the best year so far, but I think he figures something out. And I think the offense, after a week off, figures things out. Arguably, this is kind of the last game on Alabama's schedule that you would really be scared of losing. If you look at their schedule, they got next week they get Mercer, then Oklahoma and Auburn. So this is a big statement game for them. Need this win. Say the same for LSU. I will put a note out here, Logan. If LSU wins this game, on my card next week, I'll be backing your Florida Gators in the swamp against them. I'm sorry, I will do it, but it's already on my card if LSU wins. So once the buzzer goes off, LSU's on my card if they or Florida's on my card if they lose. You get what I mean. But hey, We'll see how that one goes. That one's going to be a pretty good one. And then the final game, 10:15 p.m. start, BYU on the road in Utah. Utah, the Utes, they've been pretty bad. Let's be honest, they've been pretty bad recently. They're only getting 2.5 points at home. This line stinks. 40.5 total, pretty low. BYU's looked really good this season, Logan. They're still going to try to keep things rolling in Utah. But what do you like here? Are you going to square up or you want to get a little sharp?
Yeah, I'm not going to get sharp on Utah. If Utah wasn't on a 4-game losing streak, maybe then I can try to find an angle, but they just haven't looked good. They haven't scored 20 points in any of those losses as well. Yeah, I don't think I can trust Utah to be able to put up the points. And for that reason, I'm taking BYU in this one. I really do like Jake Retzloff. If the rest of the country doesn't know about this guy, he's a baller. He's leading BYU to this amazing record and this amazing start so far on the year. I think he's going to be the X factor in this game. I think he's an elite passer. BYU's offense is also creative too. I don't think a lot of the country maybe's watched BYU football. I did. I watched what they did going into UCF, kind of handling UCF in that matchup. they did it through a lot of offensive creativity. They're not predictable. And I think that's how you have to beat a team like Utah, who even in this one with the short spread, that's why Austin said you squaring up, because it's a short spread, right? It looks like Utah will give them a good game. And I think it's going to be Utah's defense giving them a good game. But I still think down the stretch, BYU's offense is just going to be able to get that over the hump and cover that number. I do like BYU.
I've been going back and forth. I want to back Utah. I do. The problem with is all the points you said. Their defense has, or their offense has been very suspect. So actually, while you were talking, I'm pulling up BYU's team total. That's only 22.5. I'll stick with my original lean. Utah +3. I hate it. I hate it, but I love it. But I hate it, but I love it. I don't know how they're covering that. I really don't. But they have been so bad recently. I don't know how they're going to get it done. A primetime ESPN late night game. It's going to be a weird one. You know the playoffs, people, they don't want BYU in the playoffs. They need an L on their record. It comes here to Utah because no one's expecting it. I'll take it, and I might look like an idiot when all said and done. But lucky for me, I probably won't watch that full game. So maybe we'll go to look like an idiot at halftime, and then I'm out. But we'll see. That one is a disgusting ender to our 4 games we're going to talk about. We're going to dive into our favorite picks that aren't on the big card. And Logan, I'll lead things off since I had a 5-2 week, including cashing both of my extra 2 plays. And I cashed one of my props. We're going to dive into this one. My first one on the card that isn't on, the regular game. We'll still count those 4 picks towards the record. This one, Georgia Tech +12.5. Last week, I was this close to taking Duke plus the points versus Miami. That looked like a winner. Third quarter, Duke's up by like 3 points. You're like, third quarter, they can't lose by 21. They're already up by 3. Miami with the cover of the century. And that would have really sent me into a spiral. But I wasn't on Duke then. I will be on Georgia Tech here. Miami's going on the road. Obviously, the 4th ranked overall team, undefeated. They'll probably win this game. But they have struggled on the road. Their last 2 road games, they won by 1 at Cal. And granted, that's on the East Coast, sure. Then they won by 7 at Louisville. I think this Georgia Tech team can keep them in this game. I like their defense. I think their defense is solid. They should be getting their quarterback, Haynes King, back. And I think they'll be able to run the football on Miami, keep that Cam Ward offense off the field, keep this a lower scoring game. I really like Georgia Tech. They're coming off 2 terrible losses. I don't know if they win this game, but they're going to stand on business at home. Give me them +12.5. I'm already 1-0 on the week with that winner, Logan. But what do you got for the people?
Yeah, I like that pick. I like that angle for the Yellow Jackets. For my first one, though, I like Kansas +3.5. Looking at the record of these 2 teams, you might say, Logan, you're out of your mind, right? You got a 7-1 Iowa State team versus a 2-6 Kansas team. Kansas off a bye, Iowa State off a loss to Texas Tech. I mentioned that game. Iowa State was very sloppy in that one. Quite frankly, they didn't deserve to win that game. Still had a chance to make plays down the stretch. They just didn't do it. Kansas this season's kind of like Florida with that top 25 elite team. They just could not close out games. I mean, that's why they're 2-6. Jalen Daniels, early season turnovers for him. It's still possible, though, for Kansas to kind of get hot down the stretch. I think they're just a talented team, and I think they're going to hang around in this game and find a way. College football is a lot about like these just motivational games. I mean, you got a lot better on paper Iowa State team. I think Kansas is going to get up for this one. I think they're going to catch Iowa State at a good time, especially, coming off that bye week. They're going to have a little extra time to prepare, see kind of what Texas Tech was able to do against Iowa State. And I mean, I think Kansas is just going to keep this one close. I think they do cover the number, potentially win this one outright. Wouldn't rule that out, but I will take the field goal and the hook. I do like Kansas as my best bet, or one of my best bets. Austin, throwing it back to you, though.
I got another team +3.5 with you, Logan. It's a team you love. You haven't backed them a lot this season. You backed them a lot over the past few seasons. San Jose State, the Spartans. Give me on +3.5, -125. Just like Logan, buying that extra half just because 3.5, 3 is a key number. I'll take it at -125. Sure, I'm in. San Jose State coming off bad loss at Fresno State. They kind of had some weird things going on with their QB. I don't know what the heck's going on this week with it. I don't think it matters. Last week they threw 4 interceptions. They're not going to do that again. And at Oregon State, this is a blind fade. Oregon State is terrible. They have no passing attack. They only can run the football because if they pass it, it's just a disaster class. I think you'll see San Jose State get ready to stop that. Last week when they struggled versus Fresno State was my man Mikey Keene. He had like 275 yards with a very high completion percentage. That's not what you get from Oregon State. In fact, you're seeing a San Jose State team only get 3.5 on the road in Corvallis. Yeah, count me in. Give me the Spartans. I don't know who's starting at QB. I honestly don't care. I love San Jose State. I love the Spartans plus 3.5. But Logan, I heard your last pick of the weekend before we get into some props is a very sharp one. Where are you going?
It's not sharp one. I do appreciate the nod to San Jose State. Because as you were going through your card, I was like, "Ooh, I like the Spartans." You know me. This is another team I've sort of fallen in love with as the season goes on. No, it's not sharp because it's a big favorite, but I like Indiana minus 13.5. I mean, if the spread's like 14 and a half, I'll take a little bit of extra juice to get that key number of 14 if they do end up winning this game by 2 touchdowns, which I do think they will. Kurt Signetti, do not bet against this guy. I mean, he's really led this Indiana program to, I mean, their first ever 9-0 start. We know that, which is just something they haven't done in a really hot minute. Also, what's big is the point differential too. Indiana's just not squeaking by these games. They are handling their opponents. And Michigan, I mean, their point differential is awful. I mean, did they look good against Oregon last week? Absolutely not. I think Indiana can easily handle them. I mean, Curtis Rourke, he's really the reason why Indiana's offense is looking as good as they are. I don't think Michigan's defense is as strong as they were in years past. I think Curtis Rourke can have a day, offensively. And look at another number. The Hoosiers' average winning margin at home this season, 35 points. I mean, they're, like I said, they're not just squeaking by. They're winning, they're covering, and they're winning these games convincingly. And I think we'd be crazy to look at this game and say Indiana just doesn't. They just want to take it to Michigan. I think they take it to Michigan, a team that really has not found their. They sort of had a national championship hangover this year. They've not looked good at all. Don't really know an angle which you could back Michigan. Just maybe saying that's too many points. But I actually don't. I don't think so. I think Indiana will be able to win this game and cover. Do like the Hoosiers a lot as my second pick. Austin, player prop time. What you got?
Yeah, man, you got deep in your bag for that one. Deep in that one, man. Nice work. Proud of you there. I got 2 props this week. Just like last week, sometimes these aren't going to be, minus 110 each way under different books. As always, we play these on Underdog Fantasy. And if we go 3-0, so my 2 cash and Logan's cash, we're giving away $50. Like and subscribe. We appreciate it. My 2 of the weekend are going to be RJ Harvey, my UCF Knight, to score a touchdown once again, and Carson Beck, throw an interception. I mean, the RJ Harvey's not a hard sell job. They're at Arizona State, I believe. He's a beast. I'm rooting for him to play on Sundays. This is a really talented running back for the Knights. When they get inside the red zone, he's getting the rock. And I really like their new QB. He was able to actually make throws, unlike the other guys that UCF's been starting so far this season. RJ Harvey will get into the end zone. Carson Beck, as we talked about early on in this video, I don't know what the heck he's doing. He's got 11 interceptions. Feels like he throws 2 or 3 per game. Ole Miss, the defense has been pretty solid this season. I still think UGA wins, but he's probably throwing it back. Let's be honest. That's already green in the first quarter. So take those 2 props. You can throw it with Logan's, which we'll talk about in a second, and you're going to win some money. But Logan, take it away. Give me your final prop of the weekend and throw it back to me, and we'll close this thing out.
Yeah, let's win these player props because last week we got some BS our way with the injuries, but I'm taking a quarterback passing prop that I really like. It's a guy I've sort of really liked watching him this year. It's Tommy Castellanos, Boston College, over 194.5 passing yards. I like Castellanos. I look at the spread in this game. Boston College -2 against Syracuse, who pulled out a great win in that one. Austin and I were both on Syracuse last week. Kind of a miracle come from behind victory for the Cuse in that one. But I'm looking at this game and I'm like, how is Boston College going to cover that number? Or like, why are they kind of short favorites like this? I mean, I think they're going to have some success through the air. I mean, Castellanos is over this line in 2 of 3. Syracuse 66th in passing yards allowed. We saw Virginia Tech really able to kind of do whatever they wanted offensively. It wasn't until late in that game Syracuse finally did make the adjustments. But I still think Castellanos is going to have a lot of yards through the air. I think Boston College is going to run the ball. They will. That's kind of what they like to do offensively. But I think on those second, third, and long type plays, they're going to need Castellanos to make some of those big time throws, and I think he does that. I like Castellanos over in passing yards to close out the player prop parlay. Austin, let's have a big weekend.
Let's get it done. If those 3 props cash, we're giving away $50. All you gotta do is like and subscribe. We appreciate it. Let us know your favorite picks down below for week 11. Enjoy all the big games, and Logan and I will be back next Friday with our favorite college football picks. And as always, you'll see us in plenty of other videos. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on any of those. For signing out, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.